Now I'm going to take you back to your days at VHA because I know you built the home care nursing program from the ground up and you really helped the organization to deliver more services because at that time they only had PSW services and now they're a huge organization. What are some lessons that you've learned through that journey, building the organization, building the right team around you?
Yeah. Well, first I want to, my caveat is I didn't do that alone. Certainly the process of development of that organization in the 90s was really a result of really having a really great CEO at the time who had a vision to really build a multi-sectoral kind of organization. And so I was privileged to be able to do that and to have some great leeway to be able to do that. But in terms of building the team that I work with directly to help build, the nursing services there, I really thought, what was really important in terms of what I did was trying to lead by example. And that is something that I've always admired in great leaders and have aspired to do myself. And that means that anything that I would have had my team do, it would be something that I myself would also do. And I have a great sense of respect for individuals who really bring their team into the fold and treat them as they want to be treated. So that I think is really important. And part of that leading by example is important in retaining and keeping good people around you, because people will forget what you say, but they will never forget how they felt about what you say, right? Mm-hmm. And so I still have staff who I work with way back who remembered how they felt about how we initiated a contract in Southwest Ontario, or how they felt about being on the team, or their opinions and those kinds of things. Showing that sense of integrity, particularly when you have to make the hard decisions, I think is what people think about when they think about you as a leader. They recognize that maybe not everything that they wanted or needed was put in place in their organization, but they recognize that you respected them in that decision. So I think that was really important in sort of those early days of growing the team. Also feeling very confident about bringing in people who have way more knowledge about the work than you do, and leveraging them, allowing them to shine, and always letting them have the credit for what they do and their contributions to that. And, as you started to talk about what happened at VHA, I feel humbled by the work that I did, but humbled by the fact that I did it with such great people around me. So that was, I think that's kind of what I think about in terms of that process of developing in that organization.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. A leader is no one without their team.
It is, early days of your career, you spend a lot of time reading the theory, leadership theory, and you think, oh, that sounds so great.
Right.
But you learn through life
Yes.
and working through some very intricate kinds of situations, that how important that team is. Where you try to smother creativity and smother the growth of your team always ends up coming back and affecting your success. And so, I think it is a really important part of what I've learned in my career.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear your biggest lessons of leadership from your life, as well as from, I know you're involved in your faith community, so there's a lot of leadership lessons there as well. Yeah. So if you'd be willing to share some of those lessons.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's difficult to be a leader sometimes. I think it is, you feel sometimes like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. Mm-hmm. And I think expressing sometimes that you don't have it all together sometimes, and that some decisions aren't easy to make, and you are just as impacted by some of the decisions that you have to make with and for your organization is just as big a part of the decision making as the decision itself. So communication, the ability to emulate that through your communication, to inspire and motivate people because they see in you, feel in you the kind of respect and integrity that you embody in terms of the way you operate. So I think that's really what I think has helped me through some of the really tough times in a career. I've made some big mistakes. I've had some great successes. And, when I reflected on this, because this is really sort of therapeutic, thinking about yourself and thinking about your career, many of the same principles about making a big mistake and learning from it and having great success and learning from it is really the same, is really taking the same kind of credit for the mistakes that you make as for the successes you make makes for a great leader. It shows a human element of who we are, and that you grow and you change through those kinds of situations. I use that. It doesn't matter if it's in my job or if it's in my faith community or with my kids. It's really important to show that ability to be open and admit that you can do that success is or mistakes are a good part of the learning process.
Right. It's all about taking responsibility, right?
Right. Exactly. Nice summation.